Now, so for chapter 2, so what we're going to cover, we're going to look on the what is the definition of process and what is the characteristic of process. And then when we talk about the survey process model, okay, this chapter is very important for assignment. Okay, please take note. So if you don't know what this chapter is about, then you're not able to do your assignment. Okay, and then what are the characteristics of each model? So this is mainly what we're going to cover in this topic. Okay, when you talk about the process, okay, process is basically a series of steps. Okay, if you want to do any what you call if you want to produce any output, so there must be a process that you have to go through. Okay, even a basic thing, when you want to make a coffee also, what is the initial process? If you want to make a cup of coffee, what is the initial process? It's not a 3-month coffee. A 3-month coffee is a process. Okay, if you want to make it as a, okay, not an instant coffee also. Okay, something that you have to take a boil of water. Okay, the boil of water, then you have to pour it in a cup. Then you have to take the powder, the coffee powder, and all this, right? So this is the process, isn't it? Okay, in order for you to produce the output. So the output is your coffee. Okay, so that means here you can see that you are taking a series of steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and finally is your cup of coffee. Okay, so the same process that we need to apply when you want to develop any models also. Okay, your systems. Okay, your software. Okay, so when we talk about the steps, okay, there are few things will be involved. One is activities. So the activities here is we have done. Okay, so for example, first step, second step, third step. So the activities. A part of activities, so we have the constraint also. Okay, what are the constraints? Okay, so what are the constraints? If you want to do this particular, if you want to do the testing, what is the constraint of testing? Okay, so the next one here is resources. So what are the resources? If you want to do testing or if you want to develop any software, so what are the resources that you need? Okay, so these are the components. These are the components involved in the steps. Yes, of course we are performing the steps, but when we performing the steps, so these are the components. We need to look at the constraint. We have to look what are the resources that we need to in order for us to complete the steps. Okay, so when we talk about the process also, another thing, okay, is involved with the tools. What tools and what type of techniques that we want to apply. So that is another criteria. Alright? Okay. So basically these are the characteristics of a process. When we talk about the process, it's a prescribe all the major process of the activity, and also it will involve the resources, okay, the constraint, and also it will compose some of the process. You might have sub processes, okay, in the hierarchy, and each process you should do based on the principle. Okay, because you cannot simply do or simply perform any process as you like. So there must be a guideline which everybody have to follow that. Okay, including the goals of each activity. So these are the characteristics. So why are the process are so important? Why we need to follow the process? Why we can simply choose anything or we can do as we like, right? Why we need to follow the process? So why the process are so important? Because if we follow the process, so that we can have the consistent output, right? Isn't it? For example, if you do the first step, okay, every time when you want to make the coffee, so you have to take the hot water, then you have to take the coffee powder, and then you have to take the sugar, then you have to take milk powder, then the coffee is ready. Then next day, if you want to make the coffee, also same thing, take the hot water, then take the coffee powder and take the sugar. So that is a step, and so consistently you are doing that, right? So the same process that you consistently repeating. When you are consistently repeating, you get the output. The same output, isn't it? Okay, so that's why the process is very important. Okay, the steps is very important. If one step you forget or you never do that step, you skip the step. If you skip the step, what is the consequences? Okay, if the maybe in the coffee you never put sugar. Instead of sugar you put salt. Can you drink the coffee? Okay. Isn't it? Okay, so the steps is very important because consistently will happen. Okay, constantly giving the output. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so this is when the process involved. Okay, just not talk about the normal, but the process. Okay, if the process is involved in developing the software. Okay, the process is involved in developing the software. So we have a software life cycle. Okay, we have the method called software life cycle. Okay, the software life cycle. So these are the few life cycles. Okay, so which we have the requirement, we have the system design, we have a program, then we need to write the program, we need to test the program. Okay, then we need to deploy the program, then we need to maintain them. Okay, so these are the steps involved when we want to work in the software development. Understand? Okay, but this is just a general one. If you want to get more into detail, okay, is we have a certain software process model. That's what we're going to discuss in coming chapter. Okay, coming slide, sorry. Okay, so when we talk about the software process, so these are the four activities involved to develop the software. Okay, so what are the activities as you can see inside? What are the first one? Yes, you see software development. What is software development? What will be the software development? Software development. Okay, software development is the process of converting a software specification into the executable. That means you are developing the software, right? Okay, so that means basically you have the prototype. Okay, I want the system to be work like this. I want the system to have these are the functions called. Okay, so in order for you to make the system really works, okay, because from the prototype only you have to convert into the real. Okay, because you cannot simply go and do the coding. So you have the initial process. Okay, one of the initial process here is the prototyping. Okay, prototyping is the initial process. From the prototyping only you will transfer into the real. Understand? Understand, okay? So in here, so software development is basically what? I just asked a simple question. Why this kind of like? Okay, so this is involves the process of software design and programming. Okay, so this is where you will find out what type of programming you are going to use, okay, and so on and so on. Okay, the next one is the software specification. Software specification is what? What is software specification? Software specification, or we can call it as a requirement engineering. Requirement engineering is what we call software specification, both are same. Okay, please take note. Requirement engineering and software specification both are same. So what will be under the software specification? What will be doing under this process? Anyone? Software specification or requirement engineering? Okay, it's a process. It's a process of understanding, and you define, okay, what service are required, and you will identify the constraint, okay, the constraint of the system developments, okay, and the operation. Okay, I repeat again, it's a process of understanding and defining what type of services is required. What type of services is required, and you will identify the constraint. Okay, you will identify the constraint of the system operation, and then development. So what are the constraints? If you want to develop this system, what are the constraints? Okay? So that is the thing. So normally for this what we call for this software specification, mainly we have a 4 main activities. I don't know whether you guys familiar with or not. So one of the activity we call as a feasibility study. You know what is feasibility study? What is feasibility study? What is feasibility study? Anyone know what is feasibility study? One of the activity involved under the software specification is feasibility study. What is this? What does it mean? Feasibility study is something like an estimate. Okay, estimate is like something that you do some rough estimation. Okay, whether to identify the user needs may be satisfied with the current technology and hardware that you are going to use. Okay, so something like an estimation. Okay, what hardware that you want to use, what software that you want to use, what human resources that the resources that you want to use. Okay, so all that thing. So there is one activity. Okay, then the next one is a software development done, software specification done, software evaluation. Software evaluation, software evaluation, right? Valuation. Okay, so this one also comes under the software validations, and we have one more. Okay, software evaluation is basically based on the current trend. Okay, maybe, okay, I'll just give an example. Maybe now the current company, they have a current system, but the current system it doesn't have any latest technology, because nowadays if you see we have a latest technology, we have AI, okay, we have lot of technology has been implemented, has been introduced, isn't it? Okay, but later, okay, now maybe the existing company is still using the traditional way. Okay, nowadays we using AI, so we can register. Okay, we don't need to use the normal login or logout. Okay, even we use the AI features, right? AI features, okay, for us to sign in, sign out. But now the current example, the current company, they want to implement it. They want to implement it from the traditional, which is manually they could clock in, clock out. So they want to implement the new technology called AI. New technology called AI in their company. Okay, especially for the sign in, sign out. Okay, so in here you can see they are following the current trend. They are following the current trend, not from the 90s, 80s, still people are using the practical. Okay, now we have more developed system ready. Okay, so this is called software evaluation. Okay, that means from one particular period of time, you are moving to the next era. Okay, next era with the next newest technology that you are using. Understand? Got it? Okay, because if you see some of the colleges, I don't want to mention, some of the colleges still people are lecturers are using the normal attendance sheet, the manual attendance sheet to take the attendance. But in our Thai UMT, we not using the traditional. We are using our Thai intranet, right? Intranet. So where I show the class code, that you can take the class code attendance, right? So can you see from the traditional, we are moving to the next level. Okay, maybe in a few 5 years, 6 years time, no more this also, no more that I show the source code, the class code. Maybe there's some other technology will be introduced. Who knows? Raining. Oh, I thought the weather is okay. Then I thought, okay, faster, quickly, we need the class can go back. The weather also cannot predict. Okay, class. Class. Okay, listen. Okay, it's raining some more and you are making noise. Then how you want me to make the output? Okay, class. Listen, this is the maximum voice I have. Because since morning I am having class. Okay, this is the maximum voice. So please cooperate with me. Okay, because I know it's raining outside and it's very chill inside and it makes you feel sleepy. Please don't sleep. Wake up, wake up. Okay, class, listen up. Okay, so that is a software version that means from the current. So we will start using or we will start developing the software based on the current technology. Okay, we are not in a back. Okay, not in the 1960s. Okay, we are now 2023. So what is the current era? What is the current technology? So we are moving on that. Okay. The next one is the software validation. Software validation is none other than software testing. Because once you have developed any models or any software, you cannot simply give it to the customer. Now my job is done. But have you done the proper testing? Right. So that's a very important thing. So testing is playing an important part. Okay, important part. Okay, to ensure the quality of the software or the quality of the system. Okay. So when you talk about the testing, it's not only one or two testing. We have several types of testing. Okay, even you can Google and see what are the types of testing. So we have a lot. Okay, we have a lot of testing. Okay, but the fundamental testing is a unit testing. Okay, that is a fundamental testing. But that testing part we will discuss in another chapter. Okay, another chapter. I think chapter 6 or chapter 7. Okay, so in today's part we only focus on the software process model. All right. So basically, when we talk about when we developing the software process, so these are the four important activities, which is the software development, software specification, software creation, and software validation. So software development here is the prototype. Okay, how your system is going to be. Software specification here is what is software specification? You find out the constraint. Okay, find out the constraint. So what is the exact things that your customer needs? And software evaluation says if your system or your software that you're going to develop is based on the current trend or current era or current technology. Okay, and the next one is the software validation is the testing. Understand? Any questions? Right? Great. Okay, so this one all is just a continuity of that. Okay, so alright, when you talk about the software process model, as you can see here, we have a list. Of software process model. But in your terms, is a methodology. Software methodology or software process model both are same. But normally we use the term is software process model. Even in your assignment also you can see software process model. Okay, there is no term that means methodology. Alright? Okay. So when we talk about the software process model, so these are the list. We have many, but these are the most famous. Okay, the most famous. Okay, so the first one is a linear sequential model or waterfall model. Okay, waterfall model is a traditional model. Okay, it's a traditional software process model. People nowadays not using waterfall model. If you talk about waterfall model, people will ask you what is that. Okay, that is very old type. Okay, so now people are moving forward to the agile. Okay, so but anyhow we will discuss about the waterfall because you have to know what is the waterfall is about. Okay, so waterfall model, we have incremental model, we have spiral model, we have prototype model, rapid application model, component based development model, agile software development model. Under the agile we have many, okay, but we only going to focus two, which is XP and MDD. Okay, so when we talk about SDLC, SDLC stands for Software Development Life Cycle. Okay, so this is the process. That's why we talk about the process, right? That is the general process. When we talk about the process, when we want to develop a software or system, so that process, we will call it as a Software Development Life Cycle. Okay, so when you look at this comparison table, okay, so we have basically agile and traditional. Agile is, as I told you, the waterfall or the agile is very old version. Okay, now people are moving to the agile. Okay, so why people are moving to traditional to agile? So what is the difference? Okay, the difference you can see in terms of few features, which is adaptability, project size, planning, requirement, risk. Okay, so adaptability, when you look at the agile, adaptability, agile is flexible. Okay, agile is flexible because when you want to do any changes in between, yes, it's possible. But in traditional, if you want to make any changes in between, not possible. Not possible. You have to wait until people finishing the last step, then only you have to come out from the first. Understand? In between, if you want to do any modification, in traditional cannot, but in agile can. So that is one of the main difference. Okay? The next one is project size. When you look at the project size under the agile, okay, so it's suitable from the small to large. Now whether it's a very small project to large project also, you can use agile. Okay? Even for traditional also it can be used for all the project, but risk is quite risky. Why is quite risky? Okay, you can see under the risk features. Okay? Planning here is for agile, you should plan is required in the pre-development process, but in traditional, the planning should be completed. You cannot say halfway I want to change or halfway, okay, you start first later, I will top up. No way. In traditional, no way can you say you start first later, I will tell you what to do. No. All the planning you have to study first, then only you have to start in traditional. But in agile, you can start first. In between, you have any planning to be top up, you can top up. No problem. Okay, that is planning. Next is requirement. Requirement in agile is not necessary. Even let's say the requirement is not clear, or suddenly you want to have some changes in your design or in your testing, in your model, can. But in traditional, requirements are clear and you cannot change. You cannot change anything in between. Okay, the risk, unknown risk may occur in any stage, because why the risk is there? Why the risk is there in agile? Because they are giving the flexibility, right? They are giving the flexibility that you can change the requirement as you like, you can change the planning as you like, right? So that flexibility will cause you the risk later. So what are the risks? Maybe the planning, right? Because when you do developing any project, you have a duration, right? Maybe the duration will be longer or the budget will be over budget. So that is the risk. The risk is yours. Understand? Okay? But traditional, the risk is well known from the preparation stage. Because you have already done the pre-plan everything. Then when you are doing the traditional, when you are using the traditional, you know where the risk will be. Understand? So these are the difference between the agile and traditional. So now you tell me which one is very nice to hear, which methodology is very flexy to use. Agile or traditional? Agile. Even though it's very flexible, but there is a risk. Okay. Okay, there are some risks. Everything you cannot make it very easy. More easy means there's a risk behind that. Okay, in beginning is very tough means the behind no tough. Okay, you'll be overcome. So that is the difference. Now, when we talk about the traditional, so as I told you, the waterfall model, I don't want to read the stages. Okay, so this is basically how the waterfall model stages. Okay, the first one is requirement. We have analysis, design, coding, testing, operation or deployment, and maintenance. Okay, so as I told you, waterfall requirement, make sure before you move on to the analysis, the requirement part you done perfectly. You cannot say that, okay, never mind, we do the analysis, then after that come back to requirement. No, there is no comeback here. There is no previous. Because if you see, look at the diagram also, can you see the arrow is previous? Only the arrow is next, right? Is there any arrows can go back to previous? No. You only, okay, so that is the, can say plus point or minus point. Okay, so that means you have to finish one phase before you go to the another phase. And if you do any wrong also, you cannot go back to the previous phase. You have to move on to the next phase. If you still want to do correction, you have to wait until the testing or deploy. Then testing. After that, after testing, you have to go back from the previous, which is from the requirement. Halfway you want to go, halfway you stop, then I want to reverse back. All not possible. Understand? Got it? These two gentlemen is busy talking. I don't know what. You too. What are you talking? Don't know what. But you are talking, but you don't know what's talking. Okay. So when can we use the waterfall model? Okay, this is very important. Your assignment, you need to justify. You need to justify why did you choose that particular survey process model. Why? Okay. So when you want to choose, but please I request not, don't ever choose waterfall model. Okay, it will be very risky for you. Okay. So when can we use the waterfall model? If your requirement is fixed, that means, okay, this is what I want. Okay, after this, no changes. No changes. This is what I want. I want A with A. Tomorrow I want B with no. A fixed. Okay, fixed. You cannot go and change your mind and come back here, change something, cannot. Okay? Ample resources and established timeline, well understood technology, unlikely to require significant changes. If your project got all these criteria, then you can choose waterfall. Your requirement. Okay? So the advantages here is, of course, because it will enable the large or changing teams move towards. Okay? Let me take the previous stages. All after this. So you can move forward. Okay? And then for the structured discipline organization. No flex. You cannot expect the flexibility here. Okay, and simplify understanding following the arranging task. So once you do this task, you have to do this. Okay, enable the early system design specification changes done, can be easily done, and clear defined milestone and deadline. So this one is cannot be the over deadline or over budget. It must be within the timeline, within the budget. If you feel that your requirements or your customer you have and your project scope is falls under this, then you can choose waterfall model. Okay. Disadvantages: the entire process. Let's say if anything collapses, or anything goes wrong, the entire project need to start over. That is the disadvantages. Okay. Then waterfall model delay testing, because it will be end of the development cycle. Because as you can see here, the phases, the testing will be to end before the deployment will be the testing. There's only one testing. There's no testing in between. Okay, and it will be the most last part. Okay, because let's say you develop one model, maybe user interface you develop ready. I want to do testing, you cannot. You have to wait the user interface design first. After that, all the other modules finish, then you do a testing. Understand? You cannot do, okay, once I develop one model, okay, I do test. After that, enter test. No. Okay, so that is the disadvantages. Okay, waterfall model isn't ideal for complex. If the complex or risk projects, waterfall model definitely cannot. Okay, no working product is available until, because you cannot see any temporary prototype products or models. You only can see the final model after the testing. If you want to see, no, can I see half of the system first? I want to see how the system has been done. No. You wait until the entire system complete, then you can see the complete system. Understand? Okay, so that is the disadvantage. You cannot show also to your customer, okay, this is what I do halfway. You cannot show, so you have to let the customer to wait until you develop the entire system. Then only you can show the final product. Understand? Okay? Any questions regarding the waterfall model? Any questions? No. Okay, the next one is incremental model. Okay, incremental model. If you see here, incremental means slowly, part by part you will do it. Okay, part by, for example, you can see the Mona Lisa here. So cute Mona Lisa. Okay, so I take this because it's better, you can understand better. Huh? Okay, if you look at the Mona Lisa, you can see the first picture. Okay, the person started to think about the Mona Lisa. Think she missed the Mona Lisa. Okay, then what he does? Okay, you look at the first, second, and third, right? The first page, the person only done the Mona Lisa's head. Can you see? Okay. After that, the second one is half part of the body. Then the third one is the full body. So that means here the person is developing the Mona Lisa picture part by part. Not one shot, part by part. That means it's like what? Gradually they are developing. Gradually they are developing the module or the system. Understand? So that is called incremental. Okay, when you look at the downward diagram, this is a diagram of the incremental. As you can see, build 1, build 2 and build n is, it depends on how many times you want to do. Okay, for example, the Mona Lisa they only do for 1, 2, 3. Okay, but in your system you have many phases. Okay, many steps to be. Okay, one user interface. If you want to create the login part, so you do incrementally one by one. So it could be many times, many loops. Could be many loops. Okay, but if you look at the cycle here, every time for every loop, every incremental, you need to start from the requirement, design and development, testing, implementation. Can you see the build one? The Mona Lisa build one, number 1, the Mona Lisa one. So you start with the requirement, design, development, testing and implementation. After that, number 2, Mona Lisa is the half body. Again, you start with the requirement, design, development, testing, implementation. After that, Mona Lisa's full portrait. Again, you start with the requirement, design and development, testing, implementation. Understand? For each portion that you are developing, every time you are developing a new portion, you are added a new portion. That particular portion, you need to gather the requirement, you need to design and develop, you need to test, implement. Understand? You got it? So this is called iteration. Iteration, looping. Got it? Any questions? Any questions, class? Later, because this is very important for your assignment, you need to choose which is the most suitable software process model for your proposed system. Okay, example, let's say if you have you are planning to design the login page. You have a username and password. Okay, username and password. Then you have a forgot password and other stuff. Okay, all right. Okay, now how you can increment incremental? Incremental here is the interface. The interface of the login page. When you want to create the interface, you need to start with the requirement. Requirement here is you need to gather the requirement from your client. Okay, the interface, what kind of interface you want, so how the things all. So you gather the requirement, right? After you gather the requirement, then you design. So that means the interface is the interface of the system you design. Okay, here this is the login. Okay, this is the username. So you are designing. Okay, after that you coding the interface. Okay, then you testing. Okay, the interface done. After that you move on to the username. So the interface only you done, right? But who want to add all these attributes inside? So the username. When you create the username, that is another portion, right? Another portion. Again, you need to start with the requirement, design and development, and testing. Okay? After username is password. Again, you need to start with the design, requirement, design, development, testing. Can you see? Just imagine for this only for one login page. So how many times that you need to do the looping? How many times that you need to do the looping just for the one module? One login module. This is one module. I'm talking about the login is one module. In one module, how many times you have the looping? Okay, one loop is to design the interface, and then another loop is for the username, another loop is password, another loop is forgot password, and so on. So that means in one module, how many loops? How many times that you have to implement the incremental? Understand? This is only one module. Okay, in your assignment, I don't know how many modules you have. So, in one module, every time when you added a new function, okay? So this is the stages that you have to go through. Got it? Got it, class? Okay. So what is the advantages? Okay, before that I tell you when to use. Okay, when to use the incremental model. You can use this model if the requirement of the complete systems are clearly defined. That means your customer who come and approach you, they know what they want. Okay? The customer who come and approach you, right, the client, they know what exactly they want. They know their requirement. Okay, once you ask, okay, what are the things you need, then they can list out, okay, these are the things I need in my system. That means they know what actually they want. Okay, and then the major requirement must be defined, and then they need there is a need to get a product to the market early. A new technology is being used. Resources is needed, skill set are not available. There are some high risk features and goals. Okay, resources are needed, skill set are not available means when I want to work, because I'm pro, okay, I'm a programmer, I'm an expert, I'm a programmer in developing the interface means the database people, can I call the database people now? I don't need their assistance because I'm developing the interface only. The database people, I no need to have it with me now. No need. Even I can call them later also. Okay. So in your company, let's say if you don't have the database people, database programmers in your company, and you are assigned this task, you are doing this project, but you are short of database engineer or maybe the database developer you don't have, you can hire them. It's not necessary that you need to make sure all the people are here, then only we start the system. No. While you are developing the system, if the person, the expert is not there or the program is not there, you still have chance to hire them. You understand? So that is what we say as the resources with needed skills are not available. Okay? The skillful person, you no need to have all this in you. Because this is incrementally you're doing what? Okay? So later also you can hire them. And then you can ask them to work. It's not that standby, everybody standby. No. Okay? Because you are not developing something like a waterfall that everything has been said, then you have to move it without any. No. Okay? So this is a little bit flexible. Okay? And even though this is flexi a bit, but the risk is there. Okay? So there are some high risk features and goals. So what are the risks? As I told you, so the risk is maybe you have the sort of manpower. So maybe you say then next month also we can hire. Maybe next month if there is there's no people come for interview, but you need them urgently. How? Right? Okay? Or maybe because of that your project is delayed. Other people are waiting. Could be. Okay? So that is the thing. Next, the advantages here is generate working software quickly and early during the software life cycle. And the model is more flexible because it's very flexi. Less costly to change scopes and requirements. It is easier to test and debug during the small. Why is easier? Because you're just doing a small component, right? It's easy for you to find the bugs, isn't it? Rather than you developing the entire system, then you find the bugs. You are developing a small portion. It's easy for you to find the bugs, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay? So that is the thing. And lower initial delivery cost and easier to manage risk because risky pieces are identified and handled during the iteration, which is the best thing. Okay? The disadvantages here is if you want to take this software process model, make sure that you have a good planning and good software system design. Okay? And you must have a clear and complete definition what exactly the system should have and how the system should perform and who is your target user. Everything you have to know. Okay, what is their requirement? Okay, before it is broken down into and built incrementally. Okay, if you build incrementally means you will build gradually. Understand? Got it? Okay. Next is spiral. Okay, spiral model, even you can Google, I think I didn't have this. Spiral model, if you look at the methodology, the software process model also, the diagram is something like this. Am I right? Okay. If you look at the diagram also, you know it's very complicated. Yes, it's complicated. It's very complicated software process model. Spiral. Why? Okay. Okay, spiral model, okay, is one of the series of the incremental release. But spiral model, there's a lot of disadvantages. Okay, spiral model you cannot use for small projects. Definitely you cannot use for small projects. Okay, spiral model normally people will use it for the risk projects. a huge project. For example, I'm giving you up. Okay, for example, let's say government projects, right? The government projects normally, okay, government projects, their requirements is not a fixed requirement. So they will always change the requirements. They will always change the requirements, and whatever things that they say now, next day they will change it. Okay, the government project, because government project is not a 1 day or 2 day project. So the government project will be 2 to 4 or 5 years projects. It's a long duration project. Okay, the one that you are working for a company is maybe maximum is 1 year project. Okay, but government project is not a 1 year project. It could be 3 to 4 years projects. Okay. Maybe example I can give you. One example I can give you. I think all of you have that app which is a My Sejahtera. My Sejahtera apps. So My Sejahtera apps is a government. Okay, it's a government apps. Okay, it's developed by the government during our MCO time, right? Okay. When you compare, okay, I don't know how many of you are actively using the My Sejahtera app now. I don't know whether you still keep the apps or not. I don't know how many of you have deleted the apps. Okay? When you compare the apps between the early stage we use the apps, the features inside the apps, and now the features inside the apps is totally different. Yes or no? Because when we first start beginning, when we use the My Sejahtera app, it's only used for the vaccination. We have the record of vaccinations, all that, right? But now if you open the My Sejahtera app, they have added lot of, even you have the dentist appointment also. Dentist appointment, you have lot of, even you can use the clinic to say after the appointments, everything's are there. Isn't it? So which is last time we don't have. But now they have added. Okay? So how many years already they are using the My Sejahtera apps? I think since 2020, now 2023. Right? So within these 3 years, can you see the lot of improvement has been happened inside the apps. Okay? So I can keep My Sejahtera apps, one of the apps can fall under the spiral. Because it's a very complicated and the requirement is not a fixed requirement. Okay, so it will be maybe after 2 years there will be a lot of other things will be added into the My Sejahtera apps. Okay, I think some of you started to search the apps and see what are the features added there. Okay, you have a dental, there's a dental appointments also there. But all are under the government, are not the private. Okay, all are the government clinic kesihatan, the government clinic gigi. Pergigian, not the private one. Okay, so in here you can see there's a lot of functions, a lot of requirements has been added. So this is can be said as one of the difficult. Okay, this is called as a large or huge projects. You got it? Okay. So basically we see the spiral, they have the planning, design, construct, and they have the evaluations. Okay. So when can we use the spiral model? If the deliverables requirements frequent, as I told you, they are frequently changed. They frequently change the requirements. Okay, so you can use the spiral, and the spiral model mainly used for the large project. So which is take, okay, it will take years and years to complete. Not like a 3-month project or 4 months or 1 year. So it will take years and years to complete. Okay, that means you keep doing, keep updating. So those who are working under the developers or the programmers who are developing the My Sejahtera app, their job is not end. They have to wait, there is another new thing to be introduced by the government, then they have to add it. Understand? So that means there is a new delivery, so new requirements will be add on and add on and add on. Never ending. Okay? So the requirements, sometimes when the requirements is unclear and complex. Unclear means you don't isn't it? Okay? When the changes required any time. Okay, now we have the dental, but after 2 months, they remove the dental appointment there. Okay, who knows? Okay, and it is a large and high budget project. Okay, large and high budget project. So, if your project, your project got this kind of characteristic, and it's very complex, and it's very huge, and the requirements is complex and unclear, then you can think of using the spiral. But normally spiral, in your case, you cannot use it. Okay, not necessary also. Okay. So the advantages here: high amount of risk analysis and useful for large and mission critical projects. Something like what I mentioned just now. Okay. Then next one is disadvantages is can be costly model to use. Risk analysis needly highly particularly expertise and then doesn't work well for small. Definitely spiral you cannot use for the small project, only for the big project. Okay. Okay, next is prototype. Okay, the next one is prototype. Can I take 1 minute break? Thank you.